Hi, my name's Kitty Ireland. I'm from ARO here in Seattle, and I came with my colleague, Reka, who is sitting down in the front row. She's our Director of Contextual Technology, and I'm our Content Strategist. To give you a little background on our company, ARO was founded in 2011 by our CEO and President, Andy Hickel, who couldn't be here tonight, and Paul Allen, who you have probably heard of. We have about 35 full-time employees, and we have a range of products offerings on board right now, but I'm going to focus on a couple of our consumer-facing apps and our vision. So just to take a step back and look at the space that we've been working in the last couple of years, how many of you are familiar with the term quantified self? All right, so like a third of you. It's a pretty fringe group still, but they are bubbling up more into the mainstream as time goes on, especially with the recent Apple HealthKit announcement. Quantified self was all over that. Quantified self is known as self-knowledge through numbers. And the practice of self-tracking to get those numbers is called lifelogging. And technology is turning us all into lifeloggers, with the sensors on our phone basically tracking everywhere we go and everything we do, our wearables, keeping track of our physical statistics, and gadgets like Google Glass and lifelogging cameras, which I'm wearing one right now, are basically making a new kind of log of our lives that has never been seen before. So, last year I found a diary that my grandma wrote the year that she turned 16 in 1942. I started reading this diary and I quickly realized that it wasn't just a journal, it was a life log. She was keeping track of where she went, what she ate, who she saw, what she wore, and every single boy she kissed. And she kissed a lot of boys. She had a list in the back of the diary of the 57 boys she'd kissed, and there were about 30 who were marked with an X because she'd necked with them. So I thought it might be fun to just take Grandma's mentions of boys and see how it looked charted out as data. So over the course of 1942, I took her mentions. These are just the top 8. There were about 100 boys' names in there, but I took the ones who were mentioned most. And most of them get up to about 20 mentions a month and then kind of peter off as she loses interest. But in midsummer, she met this boy named Zip, and he just went off the charts. And he kept going up even after November when he went off to war. So I'm just showing you this as an example of one way that you can pull a story out of a messy stream of data. But to tell a story with data, you need to understand context. And real contextual intelligence is not just where, but also who, what, and why. So 2 people in the same location might have very different needs at a certain moment in time. One person might need dinner reservations, another might need the bus schedule, another might need to text a friend or family member. Our flagship app, Saga, uses sensors on the smartphone to understand where people have gone, what they've done, with whom, and then use that to predict what they might do next and what information they'll need. These are a few screens from my personal Saga life log, so you can see that I walked from work to a sushi restaurant. When I clicked through to the sushi restaurant, you can see all of the many times I've been to that sushi restaurant. And then Saga understands some of my patterns and behavior over time and assigns me with traits, including sushi savant, because I go to a lot of sushi restaurants. So I'm really excited that Saga is now partnering with If This Then That, which will allow us to create recipes based on location data in Saga that are triggered automatically. So for instance, if I arrive at a grocery store, I will get an SMS with a link to my shopping list that I keep in Evernote automatically without even taking my phone out of the pocket. Likewise, if I go to a restaurant, there's going to be a row added to a spreadsheet that I've set up in Google Drive, so I will have a list of every restaurant I've ever visited, which is really handy for, foodies and Yelpers and people who just can't remember the names of restaurants. Just to briefly go over what's coming up for us in consumer apps, these are some concepts from a personal activity tracker app that we're working on that will give you personal analytics and a little bit of goal tracking. It's coming out later this year. Brightly is a personal UV monitor. It's going to be out in beta in July. And Overheard is a sound capture and sharing app that lets you share sounds like you share photos. It is currently in beta and is going to be in the App Store any day now. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish. We're really excited about our vision for the future. There are going to continue to be more sensors, more data, more contextual intelligence. We believe that everyone should have open access to personal data and benefits from it that go beyond ad targeting. We're on the brink of a revolution in healthcare with tools like HealthKit coming along to give people unprecedented access to their health data. And we're also creating a vast repository of human stories that's going to be our history. But we need new ways to extract and preserve meaning from data, and that's what we're working on at ARO. So I don't know if we have time for a question or two, or...
We want to give time for questions.
Okay. All right. Who's got questions? Yeah. No, I agree. I think the interfaces are definitely going to be the key. I mean, we're seeing there's a lot of talk about the wearables industry, and right now, honestly, wearables are kind of crappy. Like, no matter what you use them for, it's like, yeah, they do one thing okay, but if we're going to wear computers on our bodies, they're going to have to get as good as the computers that we carry in our pockets, basically. What those technologies are, I'm not an expert in that field, so. Yes. Right. Yeah, there's some machine learning algorithms going on in the background. Basically, what Saga does well is understand routine. So figure out where you live, where you work, what time you normally commute, that you go to the gym on Tuesday evenings, and basically store those patterns. And that way we can see when you are adhering to those patterns or deferring from those patterns, and hopefully give you something that you would need in that situation.